You are running with the Devils, and we're back talking everything ASU football with you here on YouTube. We definitely love you joining us each and every week. Click the subscribe button. Make sure and like and comment so we know that we're making a difference for you out there in the world of ASU and even college football. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm the RyKno, Ryan Knowles. Here with me, as always, my partner in crime, Big John Caldwell. And Big John, another disappointing showing from the Sun Devils. We thought after that performance against USC, maybe the Devils turned a corner, and that we both picked them to win this game in Berkeley. And unfortunately, the Devils came up short. They fall to the Golden Bears in their final meeting as members of the Pac-12, 24 to 21, as the Devils fall to 1-4 on the season. Really, I mean, Devils played close most of this game. They had a lead at one point. Unfortunately, those two turnovers and poor performance on third down, 2 of 15, that proved to be the difference in this one.
Yeah, we had the last two games. The improvement is there. In fact, I think the improvement is palpable, and the kids are not. They're fighting. That's the good. Those are the good things, folks. The bad things is there's still things to clean up, like you say, a third down, not being able to execute on fourth down, not having a punting game, so we're having to go more on fourth down than we should have to go, and we're not able to flip the field. There's some things that are real painfully obvious, but I think in general, the fact that we're playing as well as we are, considering how beat up and hurt we are, is telling me that the kids are still buying in and they're giving it their all.
Yeah, and definitely some things to like from this game. I mean, Trenton Bourguet going out there, even though he didn't have necessarily his best game. I mean, still, a good performance, well enough to win. I would think, 26 of 41, 344 yards, no touchdowns through the air, but did have a rushing touchdown, and then that costly interception.
Yeah, he
really proved to be the difference.
Couple of real key drops by Badger and by
he had a couple balls go through his hands, which was very disappointing. Yeah, he did not have his best game, unfortunately. Jalen Conyers, I think he's still trying to kind of get back into the flow of things.
Yeah, he dropped one.
He was a little slow. He was a little slow at times. It looked like.
So he's getting back in shape. You miss a week and you have an injury the way he had. I'm sure it was that slowed him down. He's not in his normal game fit shape, but he's still making plays and he's still a go-to guy. But there were some other players.
He's still working his way back, but and I'm sure he'll continue to get better as the season goes along. Cameron Scatabo did have a nice game for the receiving anyway. He had 4 catches for 98 yards, including a 66-yard reception. That was very helpful.
He had a pass. Great pass.
He did get in the end zone. Yes, he did have a nice throwback pass to Bourguet on fourth down. I can't believe that play worked.
It did. And Bourguet, he duked that guy. He went up and showed he had some vertical, man, on a bad and an angle.
I still can't believe that play worked. You watch it and I just, you watch Bourguet go up for the ball, the defender right there, and it's like, how did he catch that?
He's a decent.
That was crazy.
He's a good athlete, man. It's competitive. But
being competitive and an athlete are two very different things.
No, I think he's both. Yeah, I think he is both.
Yeah. And then Scatabo 24. Just they had the ASU had their struggles on the ground, just 68 yards rushing in this game. 59 of them from Scatabo. He did manage to find the end zone once on the ground, but you'd like to see a slightly better performance from this team in their rushing attack, and we'll get into that in a little bit more detail coming up. But big picture, Big John, Devils suffer their 4th straight defeat on the season after beating Southern Utah in that weird opener. Devils falling to 1-4 on the year. Is it time to hit the panic button? We'll talk about that a little bit more later. We still think that the team is buying in, that the players are playing well, that no one, that Dilly hasn't lost the team. Certainly, I think they're still going out there and competing for him. But they got to very, very difficult stretch of schedule here leading into U of A to end the season. And, you have to wonder, can they win another game before the end of the season? So we'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. But as always, after a defeat here on RWD, we talk about what we learned from the week that was and in week 5. And that's presented by the Valley Athletic Booster Club. Support local athletics. Check out valleyathleticboosterclub.com. And, we talked about this team having an identity as a running team. And the offense is kind of just confirmed what we already suspected, that the offense will go as the running game goes. And we saw this a lot last year, Big John. This team cannot rely on Trent Bourget to carry it with his arm. He's a good passer. He gives you a good chance to win. He'll keep opposing defenses honest. He can hit the big throw when he needs to. But this team needs to run the ball. They have to be able to get out there and keep the chains moving with the running attack. And 68 yards on the ground for this team is not going to get it done in a game like this. So
no, yeah, we need to
definitely got to go out there and establish the run and wear some of these teams down to give yourself a good chance to win.
Yeah, I think we were all, kind of counting on having DeCarlos Brooks and Brown and George Hart playing a bigger role, or at least being stronger,
being healthy,
and being at the 2, being at the 2 and 3. Same thing with Tep and White. We just haven't developed a 3-headed running game at this point, like we've had in the in the last several years. We've been very blessed by having at least 2 strong running backs, in that room that carried us. But we barely have one right now, and now everybody's keying on Mr. Scadaboo.
Scadaboo, yeah. And I think, it was kind of a little underrated when DeCarlos Brooks went out with his injury. I think he was a good, change of pace, good receiver out of the backfield, did a lot of things well. They lined him up. They lined him up as like a fullback type position, and he had success in that spot too.
Yep.
So
he was chipping.
And not having him in there, I think, has kind of gone under the radar as something that the team has missed.
Right. No, it's in Kenny's scheme of kind of making a lot of deception and players sort of out of system looking kind of plays. That was a big part of it. Having a healthy kid like Brooks.
Another healthy running back that you could pair with Scadaboo to kind of create a dual threat in that backfield when you line up in the what they call it, the scat cat.
Yeah.
Formation. I still call it the Sparky, but that's kind of what they've taken to calling it. But moving on to the other side of the ball, the defense played well enough to win. They made some plays, no turnovers, unfortunately. But the real issue was tackling, especially on third down.
Right.
That was an issue, and I don't think it was talked about enough this week. But when they got Cal into 3rd and long, they didn't keep them. They didn't keep them in 4th. They didn't stay 4th and long. It was, they were rushing up the middle, gashing us for these long runs that were making the punts, following the preceding punts a lot easier and flipping the field. And then, ASU with its punting issues was giving the ball right back. And then Cal was working with a short field because they were controlling the field position game. So, if you stop those 15-yard runs on 3rd down, even though it's 3rd and 20, they're not going to convert, but you still got to keep them in position to where you're giving your offense a little more breathing room to work with. And that was twice that happened that I counted. And then you got that play where Sam Jackson, Cal's quarterback, escapes what looked like a for sure sack, and then completes the ball on a 3rd and long, and that really extended the drive that ultimately ended up proving to be the difference in that game. And those are plays you got to make. I mean, you got to wrap up and you got to execute as a defense on these money downs.
I thought we actually had enough offense to win this game because we were actually down in the red zone twice and lost 4 points by just on our own shooting ourselves in the foot. 12 men on the field.
The penalties, penalties
lost us 8 points. We scored. We scored TDs,
Yeah,
and we only got field goals out of it.
yeah.
And so
That
we
was
really
another
did.
problem.
And, I know everybody's frustrated, but we've on paper designed enough plays, designed enough offense to beat Cal. It was our own. I thought it was our own mistakes, taking 8 points off the board. That really was the difference for me. That and the and we'll get into the our right guard situation and what's going on up front. What I saw out there is again, our right guard is such a turnstile going on right now, trying to figure out somebody who can play that position, and that
Well,
led
and
that led
if
directly to one of the
I could
picks.
just, yeah, you're right. And if I could just interject, um, they've had to play kind of musical chairs with the line a little bit with some of the injuries
Oh
that
yeah,
they've had. Kate Briggs is just getting back. He was kind of expected to be a Swiss Army knife swing guy along the line. And then, you got Emmett Boley, the starting right tackle, down for the year with a broken leg. Uh, Isaiah Glass is still out. We thought he might be back by this point, but he's been
right. He's
out. I
still,
mean, Graham Walden has filled in very well at left
yeah, he has.
tackle.
Yep.
But I mean, now Joey Ramos kind of gets pushed out of his natural position, and you're still trying to find some continuity and just a mix of guys that's going to work up front. And Ramos, he's a better guard than he is a tackle. Right guard was really supposed to be his spot, and he's been kicked out to right tackle now. And they kind of just need. I think they just need to get healthy and need to kind of focus on uh, you know finding some mix that's going to be a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
I think at this point.
I
And
think to me, it's kind of like Ben Bray can play a lot of can play guards, but when Ben Bray's in at center, I'm just scared to death that he's going to be
well,
his snaps are all over the place.
that and he's not even on the team anymore.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. That was a concern last year.
Yeah, last year.
When the offensive line was going through this, when Joey Ramos went out, he kind of
Right.
proved to be the glue that held the unit together, and because they were really struggling, we thought they were going to be a little bit deeper on the offensive line this year, but their depth has kind of been tested because of these injuries now. I mean, Sean Naa, who's a true freshman, very talented guy coming out of a big time high school program in California. He's kind of been thrust into that Swiss Army knife role. They got him listed on the two deep at like 3 different positions in this week's depth chart. So, they're still trying to find a mix of guys that works. I liked what I saw out of Hanajor, the junior college guy at right tackle when Boley went down. I felt like he was playing well, but I think they're just looking for somebody with a little more consistency out there. But hopefully they get that right guard position solidified, and hopefully they'll be able to be a little bit more consistent out there.
Help me. Have we gotten is our offensive line coach back now after that medical issue he had? He was out. So he was out for the USC game. We were having Steve.
I believe he
graduate
is.
assistant.
I have not heard that any different. I'm kind of remembering things now that was the case, but I want to say he's back, but I haven't.
Yes, I can't. Saga Tuatuli.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tui Taylor.
Yeah. Tui Taylor. Yeah. And we had one of our former. One of our Steve Miller was the GA has been filling in.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that actually was a factor in the USC game for sure. I don't know if he's back though. Anyway, we Scatterboo now is a marked man, and it's pretty obvious when you haven't really developed a second and a third running back that everybody's going to key on him. They know that when he's in the game, you better spy him. And don't let him.
Because I mean, if you're playing the odds, odds are he's going to get the ball. So as long as you got a guy on him, you don't lose track of him. That's you probably you give yourself a better chance to win that down. So I think the word's kind of out on him at this point. And I think some of these other guys kind of need to step up a little bit in order to kind of take some of the pressure off of him, because he's kind of become the focal point so much of the offense that some of these other guys need to start stepping up.
George Hart he had something wrong with him back in the USC game, wasn't he hurt in USC?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I remember against
Yeah.
Fresno State he got hurt when they tried that goal line plunge with him.
Mhm.
And I don't think he's kind of been healthy since, as far
Right.
as I can tell. I mean, I thought Tyson Brown actually flashed a little bit against USC,
Yeah.
but I don't know. They didn't really use him a ton, especially except as kind of a decoy against Cal.
No, and he doesn't run between the tackles well. You got to get him out in space kind of a guy.
Yeah, I agree.
So we
But
got to get a punter.
obviously, you'd like to see some. I mean, injuries have been playing a role with this team from it feels like from day one. I mean, they just haven't been very healthy all season long, and it's
Right.
played a factor in some of these losses. So
Right.
hopefully they'll be able to get some of these guys back healthy, because the bye week is coming up here after Colorado. Some of these guys will get healthy after that.
Right. And so the word is we're sitting our punter. We're gonna there's gonna be a change at punter.
Yeah, Josh Carlson no longer the punter, and they're giving a couple guys. I'm drawing a blank on names, unfortunately, but But I mean, hey, anybody's got to be better than what he's been doing. He just, I mean, it seems like every time he's out there, he's punting it like 30 yards, and that's it.
Well, he gave up in terms of what between the two punters, at least 60 yards difference between the two, and 60 yards in a game from punts, that'll get you a touchdown. That's a touchdown.
Yeah, I'd say
that's
so.
7. Yeah, that's not gonna get it done. So I'm looking at here at the kid's name. The backup is Race Malam. Yeah, Race Malam.
Yeah, Race Malam. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
he's
number 47.
Yeah, and I think there was another one that they were putting out there to try to compete this week, just to see who was going to be the guy. Because I mean, they are sitting Carlson down, and that's kind of been a long time coming with his performance. So
Right.
Maybe they want just kind of going to the numbers here. You know, me and my numbers. I'm a big numbers guy. He averaged 36 yards on 4 punts. His long was a 40 against Cal. That's not getting it done.
No,
unless you're punting from midfield, that's not. And ASU was not. That's not getting it done. So you wonder why they've been going for it on. We talked about it during the pre-show. You wonder why they've been going for it on 4th down so much. This is why they're trying to keep the ball and not give opposing teams the field position game. So yeah, I mean, maybe hopefully with just even a slightly better performance from their punting game, it'll give the defense a little bit more of a boost.
Yeah, let's see if Coach Regal can pull a rabbit out of the hat. See if he's as good a coach as we think he is, or know he is to be. But again, we've got to. And I think you made the point earlier. Defense was just allowing too many big runs, too gashing runs at times.
Yeah, these numbers by Jaden Ott are a little bit skewered. We didn't talk enough about Cal's running.
We did not.
That was actually the strength of their team. But we didn't really see much of it against Washington, because they were down 14 points before you could blink in that game. But yeah, Jaden Ott averaged almost 6 yards a carry, 165 yards, and a touchdown on the ground against ASU. And there were some gashing runs that allowed them to really drive the ball down the field pretty consistently. That kid looks really good. He looks he could be somebody special at the next level. So I mean, that's the guy that, I mean, he's a young guy. I think he's like a redshirt freshman or sophomore.
I think you're right.
But he's come on and kind of taken that starting job by the horns, and played very, very well when he's gotten opportunities this year. And so, I mean, ASU, I think they were trying to key on him a little bit more. And they did stop him on that 4th and goal, which was huge, and kind of gave the offense a chance to come back.
It did.
And try and at least tie, because Sam Jackson wasn't all that good through the air.
No.
Only 130. Ott had 35 more yards rushing than Jackson did passing.
How many times?
That kind of tells you a lot.
How many times did Jackson throw the ball away? It was
there were a few times he was under pressure quite a bit, and the other thing too is Cal was lucky that he's as elusive as he was, because ASU should have had a few more sacks than they had. I mean, they did get after him a little bit. They got him down for 2 sacks, but it should have been more like 4 or 5.
Yeah, you're right.
But
it was good to see Clayton Smith was back. That was nice.
Yes, yeah, and he's certainly one of their better pass rushers. I felt like that as far as the pass rush goes, it was good. But yeah, the defense is kind of allowing some big runs right now. Trey Brown going down definitely hurt. I like Tate Romney and Caleb McCullough, but Brown's kind of been they're kind of their thumper in the run game at the linebacker spot. Those 2 guys are going to have to step up now with him probably at least down for this week. I know he was on crutches on the sideline against Cal when he went out in the second half, so probably don't expect him back this week. But I think they had him listed as injured on the depth chart. But that's something that the defense is going to have to step up and stop the run, because you got a kid in Donovan Edwards coming this week. He's small, but he is elusive. He's fast. He's a home run hitter. He's been very, very good for the Buffaloes this year as a true freshman, and they're definitely going to need to find a way to contain him.
I saw Doncom getting a lot more reps now that Will's gone. That we're more so than I think.
He kind of fits the mold as like that downhill run stuffing linebacker who can be a thumper, who can take out a blocker and free up other guys. So. And we like to joke. I mean, that's why he's such a great special teams player. He plays violent.
He does. He loves to hit.
Yeah, well, that's what you need in that kind of position. So if you can get him out there, get him up to speed to where he's not any kind of liability as far as assignments go. Yeah, I think that's probably a good substitution for bringing him.
Especially now we're entering the second half of the season. This is where a kid like that should realize his opportunity and really start to. He's played enough now where I think the speed of the game should not be an issue, and he should be getting his nose in there a little bit more. So I'm just looking at him to start turning on a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on him. So that's what we learned from week 5, and now kind of going into week 6 here. Big John, I asked you this, after the Cal game. Can ASU win another game before the end of the season? Just looking at the schedule after the bye week after Colorado, they got a bye week, but then they got to go to Washington, who looks like potential playoff team.
They sure do.
I mean, they didn't look great against U of A, but they still won. They're undefeated on the season. They look like they could push for, if not for the Pac-12 title, maybe a wild card spot in that expanded 8-team college football playoff this year. Then you got Washington State coming into Tempe. They look they look really good. Cam Ward, their quarterback's playing about as well as anybody in college football right now at the quarterback spot. He's dangerous every time he touches the ball, and they look really good right now. I mean, if you watch that game against Oregon State, the Beavers could not stop them. The Beavers actually look like a good team too. So that's and then you got to go after that. You got to go start November. You got to go on the road twice to Utah. I mean, granted, they're beat up themselves right now. No Cam Rising at quarterback right now, but he could be back. I mean, we're talking about a month down the road. He could be back by then. They're missing Brant Queethy, their other good tight end. He not having him's been tough this year. They dropped that game to Oregon State. Looks like their season's done as far as getting to the championship, at least with as good as the top 4 or 5 teams have been this year. But they're still tough, especially in Salt Lake City. You never know what to expect. Kyle Whittingham always has them playing well. Then you got to go to UCLA. They've kind of fallen off a little bit, playing a freshman quarterback in Dante Moore, but they still have a lot of talent. Chip Kelly, he's always going to have that offense playing well. They're going to put points on the board. That's certainly no easy out. And then, you got Oregon back in Tempe before U of A. This is it's a tough stretch coming up here.
Bo Nix is at times looks like a first round draft pick.
Oh yeah, he's definitely playing like it right now. And I mean, Dilly knows him very well. He was the OC in Oregon last year.
Sure.
So this is going to be a tough stretch here. I mean, that's not even considering U of A. I mean, U of A, they got a losing record right now, but they played very, very well against a tough Washington team in Tucson.
I thought they gave USC a pretty good game.
Yeah. No argument there either. I mean, this is a team, and that was without Jaden Delora. Jaden Delora did not play against Washington. He was hurt. Okay. They were starting for Lita, I think his name is. Right. Lita, something like that. They're a freshman, and he played really well. So, look out for them. I mean, they might probably going to be in contention for a bowl game at that point. So, what's it mean? I mean, can they pull out a win? And what would that mean for this season, do you think, Big John?
Well, I think they can pull out a win. Let me put it this way. The improvement from in the USC game, the improvement in this game, if you keep improving at that level, you should win a game. I think you're going to, me, it's palpable what I'm seeing out there. Question is, can you get healthy? You can't, I just can't stand the idea that you're going to get more injuries, but you will.
Yeah, I mean, this bye week I think is coming at a good time because of the injuries that they've suffered. They kind of need some help. They're going to need some help, some guys to get healthy. I think you're probably looking at a few guys being done for the year. So,
well, I think all you got to do is really if you keep Trenton clean, I think they will find some route runners that can get open. Okay. Yeah. And because Trenton did work a lot in the offseason with Badger and Conyers. And X just to a degree, and even Geo, to really get through a lot of balls. They threw a lot of Nerf, balls on their own and in the bubble and stuff together. So these guys are pretty dialed in. But I just have a really good feeling about that Trenton if you keep him clean can deliver. I know he had a pick last week, but guys, he got hammered on that play. And then he got hammered down on the goal line. So he took a shot in the chest and was feeling it, but he got right back up and competed.
And they had a couple of their pass blockers, in Bram Walden and Sean Na actually graded out really well this past week. So I mean, the potential is there on the offensive line to get consistent protection. It's just I think they're kind of finding the right mix of guys with the injuries that they suffered. Maybe after the bye week, some of these offensive linemen get healthy and they start playing at the level we kind of come to expect. And I mean, hey, Utah and UCLA look very beatable right now. With the way they're playing right now.
Without a Cam Rising, I think you do have a chance.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll be back by then. It's always tough to say. Well, I mean, he didn't play wasn't really cleared for fall practice. He's you don't really know what to expect with that.
He's out there doing warm-ups.
They're gonna need him.
He's out there actually in a boot or with a knee brace in warm-ups, kind of jogging. And I saw last week during warm-ups. So I don't know if they're trying to get some range and motion in that knee. But he was out there, kind of running around during warm-ups the other day. The thing is, if that Utah game, in order to beat Utah, I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I think it could be 13-9. It could be 10-7. And it could be like Michigan State a couple of years ago where people don't like that. I know fans like to see offense, but God dang it, defense plays ball too, and they're on scholarship.
You take a win any way you can get it. And
well, I think that may be
that's actually playing into Utah's hands. And Utah would on paper that's like Utah's style of game. But if you can win doing that, beating them in their stadium, playing their way, I think that bodes well for your future, certainly. And I mean, it's college football. Any given Saturday, anything can happen. There's a lot of parity. Never really know what team's going to show up what weekend. So, I mean, upsets happen every single week. So, I mean, and you got your trap games. Anything can happen out there. So, I think it's no excuse to go quitting on this team. I think they have a lot of fight left in them. I think that this is just kind of part of the process. for especially when you consider where Herm Edwards kind of left this team, and they're kind of having to build back up, not from scratch necessarily, not from square one, but maybe square 1A with what they're having to fight through, especially with all these new players. Everybody's still trying to gel. I think they're trying to kind of find their way through it together. But I think Dilly's the type of coach that can keep them gelled together, can keep that cohesiveness, kind of keep that us against the world type of mentality going, to where this team's not going to take anything lying down. They're not just going to go out there and expect to get beat up every week. They're going out there expecting to win, and now they just got to put it into reality.
Yeah, I'm like I said, the improvement's been palpable. I guarantee you won't see another 12 men on the field. They will find a way to fix that. And typically that there'll be somebody counting to make sure in situations like that you don't make that mistake again. So I mean, they will find a way to keep getting better. And what would it mean if your question is if we were to win a game or not win another game? I'm not sure how to take that.
I think it's kind of both more than anything.
Well, I mean, to me, I think at this point, the most important thing from recruiting and in-state and progress of the program is you got to pick. I think picking up one of those games, knocking off somebody that you're not supposed to, and I think Colorado's probably your best shot at this point, and that would pretty much guarantee that that your Oregon game might be a sellout too. And to have 3 sellouts in a year like this when you're not going to a bowl game, that's pretty cool. That's pretty impressive. I think they'd be ahead of financial.
Might have something to do with the opponent that you're playing, but
it always does. We
won't pull that thread.
No, but my point is, I think at that point you're ahead of your financial projections, that's for sure. But no, I think was gonna, and I just every year I say this, that the U of A game means more than just the U of A game. In this case, it may mean the only win, and it may well mean the battle for the state for recruiting and things like that too.
Sure.
So I mean, people, you got to keep coming out and support these kids. These recruits that are coming out, they look at what's going on in the stands, and I know at our last home game against the SC, the fight we showed and the crowd enthusiasm all 4 quarters, that stuff matters to recruits, man. Sure. So we owe it to, if you want the program to get better, you got to keep showing up.
Yeah, support it. Yeah,
that's
certainly.
right. That's right.
They need you.
Yeah, and Ray Anderson's not suiting up. Sorry, Deion Sanders is not suiting up. Let's go. Anyway.
Man. All right. So moving on here to this week's opponent, the Colorado Buffaloes. Of course, unless you've been living under a rock, you got to know what Coach Deion Sanders has brought to Boulder with what they are. I mean, they were 1-11 last year, and he's really turned them into just a media sensation, a media darling. They started 3-0.
Media circus? A circus?
I would say so. I think that's a fair description. They've since dropped their first 2 games in the conference to Oregon and the USC. But I mean, they started out really well. They had that opening week upset win against TCU.
Mm-hmm.
They beat their 2 rivals, Nebraska and Colorado State. Although that Colorado State game was a real thriller. They had to go to overtime to beat the Rams. And then that loss to Oregon was, that was ugly. Simple.
They got exposed. So
I think they did. And then USC jumped out to a big lead on them. They kind of took their foot off the gas and let Colorado back in, and it would turn out to be just a 7-point game.
Well, in garbage time there was a score. That was inconsequential. But yeah, you're right.
But I mean, it still made it look close, and I mean that's for some people, for those voters on the East Coast who only look at the box score. That's going to affect how they place USC.
Are they covering? Yeah.
I mean, like I said, and then the way I'm not a big fan of the way. This is why I haven't really been rooting for Colorado. I've not been jumping on the bandwagon like a lot of people have. With Coach Prime when he first came in, more than half the team was dismissed or forced to transfer. Pretty much, they basically told them, "Hey, you're not going to. We're bringing a bunch of transfers. there's not going to be a place for you on this team. And I mean, that kind of goes against what you would think of when as a coach taking over a new program, you kind of want to, you want to bring your own players in, certainly, but at the same time, you kind of want to coach up what's there. Guys who have committed to the program, committed to the team, even though they haven't had success there, just basically cleaning the slate and starting over with your own guys. I mean, yeah, while it had that short-term success, how's that going to look to recruits in the future when you have that mercenary attitude towards players? I mean, showing loyalty, not really showing loyalty to them when things get tough.
Yeah, and Ryan, to me, we all kind of knew that in the short term, portal era, you can bring in the skill players, but really the game's fought in the trenches. And
yes,
and they up front, they're still we're going to get into this in a minute. They're still allowing a lot of sacks. So that's
there's been a lot of negative plays for as much as this team's been able to move the ball downfield, put up points on the board. There's been a lot of negative plays.
I just think that your superior teams, your top 5 teams, that all those lines have played together a lot of reps over the years, and that you can't fix overnight with portal and kicking kids out.
ASU's having that issue right now as well.
That's right. I think in the long run, that part of the game is not going to change. To me, it's like you just can't import a bunch of 5-star D linemen or O linemen. It just doesn't. That scenario doesn't exist.
Yeah, that whole plug and play thing. I mean,
yeah.
There's something to be said for that in the NFL when you do that, but for in the college game when you talk about like 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, that's a lot to ask.
It is.
That's looking at the Buffaloes, I mean, their strength is certainly on their offense. They're averaging 34 points per game. I mean, they did have that disappointing showing against Oregon that we mentioned, where they only scored 6 points. But other than that, I mean, they've gone over 40 points in all but two of their games. They've been, so that average is a little bit skewered. But Sean Lewis coming over, the former ASU, ASU fans might remember him from 2019. One of Jaden Daniels' first starts was against Kent State. Sean Lewis was the head coach there for the Golden Flash at that time. And Dion, he's brought over his kids, and his quarterback Shadur Sanders, his son, has been playing very, very well. He's playing at a lot of people have him in the Heisman Trophy conversation. And his numbers have been excellent. I mean, I like that completion percentage. It's very, very high. Over 1,780 yards, 15 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions to go on 2 rushing touchdowns. He's a good athlete. He's dual threat. Can run when he needs to. Can extend plays. He's got a big arm, and he's accurate, which is rare for a guy in college with a big arm. Usually they're not that accurate, but he's been very, very good this year with that completion percentage.
His route runners have been.
He's got a chance to be really special, I think.
Yeah, he's been blessed with route runners that can get separation. I've noticed, so that does help. But I've seen him go, make tough throws at running left and throw all the way across his right body. I've seen him, check down and find open guys. So he's doing all the right things that a senior.
I mean, it seems like so far at least he's been able to make every throw, every throw necessary, every throw possible, and he's not. Even on the long balls, he's really accurate. He manages to hit his guys in stride. And like you said, helps. He's got guys who can create separation with their route running.
Right.
But and then you pair him with Dylan Edwards, this running back who you look at him, he doesn't look like much, a true freshman. Not all that imposing. He's 5'9", 170 pounds, but his numbers this year, I mean, he's really playing well. It's kind of made that starting running back job his own. And I mean, 40 carries, 201 yards, and a touchdown on the year. He's also been a quality receiver out of the backfield with 17 receptions for 169 yards and 3 touchdowns receiving. I mean, he's kind of split time with Anthony Hankerson, who's got 38 carries on the year for 156 yards and a touchdown, but Dylan Edwards is the one who's really flashed this year. He's averaging 5 yards a carry. He's been kind of the big play threat for this team, and a guy that small, if you can even catch him, he's going to be tough to bring down. So he's definitely been a big weapon for this team.
And they've got their own X on this team.
Yeah. A couple South Florida transfers who have been balling out in the receiving corps. Xavier Weaver so far has been their leading receiver, 41 catches, 490 yards, 2 touchdowns, big numbers from this guy so far this year. He's definitely looked the part as far as their number one receiver. You really weren't sure because they had so many new guys come in this year. You really weren't sure who the main guy was going to be. And you got Xavier Weaver coming in. He's 6. He looks the part, 6'1", 180. Good player certainly, but it was you figured it was kind of going to be by committee, but he's really come in and kind of taken over as this leading receiver. He's been their big play threat. Got a couple scores on the season, and you pair him with some of these other weapons that they have in Jimmy Horn Jr., who's another guy, another South Florida. I mentioned, South Florida transfer, 34 catches, 327 yards, 4 touchdowns on the year, and another true freshman, Omarion Miller. Not great numbers as you can see, but they've been using him a lot more in this offense. They've kind of pegged him as that number 3 receiver and the kind of their red zone target, their big play target. 196 yards on 7 catches should tell you something. They're looking for him downfield, and he's a big body as well. They got some, these receivers are all over 6 foot, so it's going to be definitely a test for this secondary to go up and challenge these guys when they throw up the jump ball.
He's probably a guy you want to have our taller DBs on, right?
Yeah, Ro Torrance, Ed Woods. Those guys, hopefully they'll have Jordan Clark back this week. He missed the Cal game. He was a game time decision for Cal. Hopefully he's back this week.
He's a leader. Yeah, he's a big leader out there too. That's the problem. That's you can't just having him.
He does seem to find the ball. He hasn't so far this year, but he does have a nose for the ball. So, and then tight end Michael Harrison's having a nice year as well at the position. 20 catches, 179 yards, 4 touchdowns. The real issue with this team has kind of been their offensive line. We talked about that earlier. 26 negative plays allowed by this offensive line so far this year. That has kind of been an issue, and that's kind of I think that's kind of the thing that's held them back and kind of been their downfall in those 2 losses the last couple of weeks. And so certainly something that I think teams can potentially expose. So we'll find out. We'll kind of see how this offense goes. This will be a big test for ASU's defense because this team likes to throw the ball. They like to move it downfield very quickly. They rely on the big play. If ASU can kind of keep them in check and make them earn everything that they get and kind of not let this be, a quick strike game, kind of like USC, they put themselves in a good chance to win and, kind of play that bend but don't break style of defense, hold them to field goals as opposed to touchdowns. Give themselves a shot.
If every set of downs ends in everything ends in a kick, it's probably a good game for us, right?
Yeah, I would agree. Yes.
Yeah.
And then looking at this Colorado defense, they're kind of been, it's those numbers again kind of skewered by the last 2 weeks with giving up 90 points.
90 points in 2 games. Yes.
In the last 2 weeks to Oregon and USC.
Two admitted very strong offensive teams too. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's 127th out of 133 teams in the nation and almost 500 yards per game of total offense. This defense has kind of relied on the turnover, relied on the big play to be successful. But if you can maintain some drives against these guys, they've been giving up points this year. So, but they've got some good players in the secondary, and Trevor Woods and another Sanders, Shiloh Sanders, Deion's other son. They both had some ball picked off this year. They've made some plays on some ball carriers this year, so definitely got to watch out for them. This is a team that likes to attack the ball. They're very reliant on turnovers and keying short fields for that big play offense. So we'll see what happens there. And then their best pass rushers this year has been Jordan Dominic, the Arkansas and Georgia Tech transfer. He's got a couple of sacks on the year. So ASU's offensive line is going to have to key in on him. I might see some double teams on him on the outside.
Yeah.
And another a name that some ASU fans might remember, Juwan Mitchell, who had transferred from Texas and Tennessee, was in camp with ASU, and then just a few weeks before the opener got dismissed from the team. We weren't even sure if the NCAA would clear him, would get him eligible. But he's been their leading tackler so far this year at that middle linebacker spot. So he found a new home very quickly and has been playing pretty well for the Buffaloes. And then you got Cameron Silman-Craig, who's kind of been there. They haven't listed at safety, but he's really been more the nickel corner. Right. 3 interceptions so far this year. He's kind of been their ball hawk and has played very, very well coming off the edge when they'll blitz him a lot in pass rush. So, and then another name to keep an eye out for, Travis Hunter, who was one of the top recruits a couple of years ago, went to Jackson State, followed Dion to Colorado, but he's been hurt this year. He was the victim of a dirty hit against Colorado State. He's been out the last 2 games, but he plays both ways. He plays both offense and defense. He'll play receiver and corner. And as you can see he's put up a lot of numbers. Played like 64. He played like 64 plays, I think, against TCU. So
he was on track for an all-pack kind of year.
Yeah,
make all conference.
And we'll see if he's back where he's kind of become. I think he's going to be probably a game time decision this week. So this Colorado team, they got some players, absolutely, but they've also been prone to giving up a big play. So that takes us into our keys to the game, presented by Sleep in Heavenly Peace, a great nonprofit that builds beds for families that don't have them. So definitely support a great charity in Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And for me, you got to play keep away in a game like this with a big play offense like Colorado. You got to have some long, sustained drives with your running game to keep that Buffalo's offense off the field and out of rhythm, because they're going to rely on the big play. They're going to want to run the ball up and down the field, put up some high scores. And if you can kind of keep them out of that rhythm and sustain drives, keep them off the field, keep them cold, you put yourself in a good chance to be successful for 4 quarters. And then money downs. I mentioned this against Cal. This was a problem. You got to wrap up. You got to wrap up when you tackle out there, and get off the field on 3rd down, because that's been an issue. And especially against a big play offense like this, you want to try to limit them as few plays as possible. And as far as offense goes, keep drives going, convert, pick up 3rd down. So hopefully they don't have to go for it and try some of these crazy, throwback fakes and whatnot on 4th down to keep drives alive. Just go out there and convert. And this Colorado offense, this defense, has put up some nice numbers as far as turnovers go. They had a few sacks, they forced some fumbles, etc. But they're 480 yards per game. They're prone to giving up big plays. They're prone to giving up points. Teams have shown that. Now that you have some film on these guys, I think you know what you have to do in order to expose them. So hopefully they'll be able to utilize Cam Scatterbo. It would be nice to get DeCarlos Brooks back for this game. I don't know how realistic that is, but hopefully they can find another backup.
George Hart or
somebody
Tevin,
who can be
Tevin White.
somewhat consistent out there, just to spell Cam. Hopefully keep him a little more fresh, so you're not having to feed him quite so much.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Like I said, Cameron's a marked man right now, and they're going to keep spying him. But I think you can change that up a little bit with a good effort by a 2nd back, a 3rd back in there. I would not give up on it. They're going to try to force us to beat him with our arm, right?
Yeah.
Agreed. So, but here's for me though. It's kind of easy to say you keep Trenton clean. One of the picks goes away, etc. But I don't see that we're built yet to come from behind by more than a score at this point. We'll play well
against this kind of team.
Not a team that's opportunistic like this.
Yeah.
And to me, the defense has to create turnovers. And I really should have said here, I think, we talk a lot about defense, teams finding their identity. To me, that goal line stand that we had in the
Yes.
was to me a very pivotal moment in that defense finding its identity. And I think they can really build on that. Folks, that's a huge confidence builder. That team came all the way down to 1. They stopped him twice.
Yep.
And I think that they can build on that. I really do feel that while it's a good defensive line, it's kind of like, no, you're not going to get down here and score on us anymore. So that was a big, a team that had been, had been rocking them on running to stop them like that. That can something you can build on, and hopefully it turns into something like confidence for pitting turnovers. So those are my 3. And
those are keys to the game, presented by Sleep and Heavenly Peace. I'm definitely in agreement with you on Big John. I think that, you keep Trenton clean, allow him time to kind of pick apart this defense and not allow him to make mistakes against this defense that's been very opportunistic as far as creating turnovers this year. That's a huge key. Hopefully they'll kind of, find some continuity along this offensive line, not be a turnstile at a certain position. I think that, definitely agree with the fast start. Can't get down too much to these guys. Just like Colorado's kind of built to play with a lead, ASU's not really built to come from behind.
Right.
And, they have to play kind of, I think in a game like this, they have to kind of play a sustained, not get into any kind of a shootout with Colorado, because that's how they're built to play.
Yeah.
So definitely got to play your game.
Hopefully
you like to see them get out to a fast start. Go out there, go down there, drive down there, get some points early on. They haven't started fast very well, so far this year. But getting points on that first drive would be huge for confidence for that offense. Hopefully they'll be able to come out and punch Colorado in the mouth and kind of set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we played USC tough. We played, we've shown. I keep going back to identity, and I think we may have found it now, and we'll just play tougher. Obviously we have problems up on the O line, but you just got to find a way to keep Trenton clean, keep that top pocket tight. Hold that pass block for give him 2 seconds, give him 1.7. He can get the ball out quickly. Just don't. He's not the biggest guy. I do think you're going to see trickeration in this game. I think to beat it to get.
Yeah, there's a defense that's been they're aggressive. They certainly have the the appearance to looks like they could potentially over pursue plays. That's certainly something you can give. You can catch them out of position. You can create big plays for yourself. That's certainly a possibility.
We got other guys who can throw the ball, and I know this sounds crazy, but Jalen Conyers was a quarterback. You guys know that in high school, right?
I don't know if they'll get quite that tricky, but
no, I'm saying a sweep, an end around, or a reverse, and let him pop one. I have a feeling he's probably a little better quarterback than Scatterbo. Just because he played the position for as long as he did.
Oh man! All right. Well, let's try not to get quite that tricky. Hopefully, it won't. I think Dilly's kind of gone into his bag of tricks quite enough. Hopefully, they won't have to do it quite so much as they did against USC.
Yeah.
I kept thinking back when I was watching that too. I kept thinking back to that Ted Lasso episode where he was pulling out all the trick plays when they were kind of overmatched on paper. And that's kind of what what it reminded me of a little bit. And Dilly certainly has that Ted Lasso attitude.
Well, do you consider, and this is something I like to ask people who understand the nuances of the game. Do you consider a hook and lateral a trick play?
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's designed that way, absolutely. That Boise State one that they in the Fiesta Bowl, that was absolutely a trick play.
Yeah. Well, I see it like man's down on the screen, man's laying a block, and now he comes running on up. Let him trail the play. Don't give up on it. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen it as a dirty play or anything like that.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far, but Yeah, we'll certainly see some trickeration in this game. I have no doubt about that. So moving on to our predictions for this week.
Yep.
John's got a lot of faith in the Devils right now.
I'm
he less so. I think that this will be certainly closer than some people think, and I think that they'll, certainly hang tough. But Buffs just have, I think they have a little too much firepower for ASU's defense right now, and they'll pull away late and go and lead Tempe with a 38-27 win.
By the way, last week had we driven the field and
I know
scored
we both had
scored at the
ASU
end.
winning.
No, I would have been dead on had ASU came back, but I would have been right on the money. But we ran out of time and ran out of plays. No, I think we can score 35 points. It's just a matter of
I think we can. I just don't know if we necessarily have to win this game.
Yeah.
If we're playing our game, we're moving the ball downfield with the rushing attack. I don't think we necessarily have to if we're able to keep that offense off the field and control the clock.
Yeah, you are right. We do want to keep that offense limited in terms of numbers of opportunities out there. I mean, if they get them on turnovers, so be it. But I think you really got to you got to limit their touches.
Yeah.
So you got us at 27. Well,
so, yeah.
I can see either those scenarios. I just think coming back off a road game and the confidence that they've gained on defense and the home cooking and being home is going to help them this week. I just don't see them. I don't see a regression in attitude. All the interviews, all the kids, the reports at practice, everybody's still buying in. Hasn't lost the team.
They're saying the right things. Hopefully, this will translate onto the field on Saturday.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing. And this is one of those games. I think we talked about down this tough stretch here after the bye.
Yeah.
This is certainly a game you'd like to see them pull out. When not a lot of people are giving them a chance. A lot of people that I know who are going to this game just specifically to see Colorado with Coach Prime and this team that they kind of put out there.
Yeah, I think we know the girls that are going just because it's star power, and I mean it was Taylor Swift as coach. They show up too, So you know what I mean.
It's that when I see it.
Well, it's the I call it idol worship. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a perfect description. And yeah, they kind of become such a media darling, with their appearances on like Good Morning America and
Aflac commercials.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, Dion was doing those before he was even coaching. So before he was even named Colorado coach, and everybody's kind of latched on to them. But you can't ignore their last two performances either. So
no, you can't give up. Do not discount. I mean, we played one of those teams that scored 90 points in 2 weeks. People say, "Oh, it was two great offenses." They weren't that great, SC is not the juggernaut we thought they were.
No, especially not defensively. I mean, they can put points on the board, with Caleb Williams, and then some of the weapons that they have. But no, defensively, they're not. I would not consider them a championship caliber team.
No, I think they would.
I think Washington and Oregon are a little bit superior to them.
I think Washington would run them off. I think Georgia, if they had to play Georgia in a playoff, they would get the team speed would run them out of the field.
Out of that. Not going to argue with that. Yeah. But, I mean, you put them up against like a Michigan or Ohio State, they're just going to they're going to get blown off the ball every single time.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah, they're going to get beat up front. Yeah. Well, that's it.
But in any case, that'll do it for us this week. Early kickoff, not wearing the glow in the darks that they kind of pitched out there. It's going to be the classic maroon and gold. So wear gold, be loud, show up, hydrate. It is going to be a day game, so it's going to be warm. We're going to be out there around noon in Lot 59 North, tailgating as always, and we can't wait. If nothing, to quote Gene Hackman in The Replacements, nothing else, this should be fun to watch. So
see that big old sun hat in the background here. That's what I'm wearing.
Naturally, I'll definitely have the sunblock going, and so this should be a fun game. A lot of people that I know haven't been to an ASU game in years are coming to this game. They want to see what Colorado's all about. But hopefully they'll get pleasantly surprised by what they see from ASU.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
They may not be coming to watch ASU, but ASU might be the reason they stay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Stay for
Especially
4
that
quarters.
student section. That student section's got to stay for 4 quarters.
Yep, they do. And in fact, last home game they hung in there. I was really proud of them because they could. Mill Avenue was calling.
Mill Avenue was calling my name.
Keep my beer cold. All right.
So that'll do it for us. We appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We love hearing from you guys. And we say good night. Go Devils. Forks up. Activate the Valley. Burn those Buffaloes.
Good night, y'all. Oops.